The sterile hum of fluorescent lights filled the laboratory as I stood before the culmination of years of ambitious research. The air crackled with anticipation as I gazed upon the creature suspended in the containment chamber, a grotesque amalgamation of human and animal, a living testament to the boundaries we dared to breach. My name is Dr. Evelyn Sinclair, and I was the lead scientist behind Project Chimera. Conceived as an experiment to blend human and animal genetic material, our goal was to create a hybrid entity that possessed the strengths of both species. The ethical implications were daunting, but the promise of medical breakthroughs and advancements in human potential drove us forward into uncharted territory. As the architect of this chimeric endeavor, I felt a mixture of pride and trepidation. The creature before me, named Subject Alpha, represented the culmination of countless sleepless nights and tireless research. Yet, as I observed its twitching limbs and haunting eyes, a seed of doubt took root within me. The initial stages of the experiment showed promise. Subject Alpha exhibited enhanced strength, agility, and an accelerated healing factor. We celebrated our success, blind to the ethical quagmire we had waded into. However, as the experiment progressed, signs of instability emerged. Subject Alpha's once human features twisted into a nightmarish visage. Its eyes, once filled with a spark of curiosity, now held a feral glint. The hybrid creature seemed to teeter on the edge of sanity, caught between the primal instincts of the animal and the fractured remnants of its human consciousness. The first indication of catastrophe came during a routine assessment. As I approached the containment chamber, Subject Alpha's eyes locked onto mine with an unnerving intensity. A growl reverberated through the sterile air, sending a shiver down my spine. I recoiled, realizing that our creation was evolving beyond our control. Attempts to communicate with Subject Alpha proved futile. It displayed erratic behavior, alternating between moments of eerie calm and explosive aggression. The once promising experiment had devolved into a Pandora's box of ethical quandaries and unforeseen consequences. The turning point arrived when Subject Alpha, driven by an inexplicable frenzy, broke free from its containment chamber. Panic gripped the laboratory as alarms blared, and security protocols were initiated. I, however, stood frozen, torn between the scientist who yearned for discovery and the architect of a monstrous creation now unleashed upon the world. As chaos unfolded around me, I felt a profound sense of responsibility for the unleashed aberration. Subject Alpha roamed the corridors, a distorted embodiment of our scientific ambition. The once controlled experiment had become an uncontrollable force, a living nightmare with each step it took. The hybrid creature's rampage left a trail of destruction in its wake. It seemed driven by an insatiable hunger, a primal urge that defied the boundaries we had attempted to impose. The laboratory that once echoed with the promise of progress now resonated with the cries of those caught in the wake of our ill-fated experiment. Regret gnawed at my conscience as I grappled with the consequences of my scientific pursuits. The ethical dilemmas that had been pushed aside in the pursuit of knowledge now loomed like specters haunting the wreckage of the laboratory. A sense of responsibility weighed heavily on my shoulders as I joined the efforts to contain Subject Alpha. The hybrid creature, once a vessel of scientific curiosity, had become a manifestation of the ethical abyss we had plunged into. The line between creator and creation blurred, and the repercussions of our hubris echoed through the ruins of the laboratory. In the aftermath, as the facility was secured and the remnants of Project Chimera were buried in the annals of failed experiments, I grappled with the indelible mark left on my conscience. The Chimeric Abyss we had opened revealed the fragility of the human-animal boundary, a boundary that, once breached, could unleash forces beyond our comprehension. As I reflect on the experiment gone awry, I am left with a sobering awareness of the ethical responsibilities that accompany scientific pursuits. The chimera we created was not just a fusion of genetic material. It was a reflection of the moral quandaries inherent in tampering with the essence of life itself. The experiment, intended to elevate humanity, had instead plunged us into a darkness where the consequences of our actions reverberate like a haunting refrain, a cautionary tale etched in the annals of scientific folly. My name is Dr. Victor Blackwell, and I stand at the precipice of my darkest creation. In the hallowed halls of Arcane Genetics, where ambition and desperation converged, I conducted an experiment that defied the very laws of nature. Little did I know that my pursuit of scientific glory would unravel into a nightmarish labyrinth of grotesque horrors. It all began with the hope of curing incurable diseases. The whispers of the scientific community spoke of a breakthrough, the synthesis of human and animal DNA to create beings with regenerative capabilities beyond our wildest dreams. I was seduced by the promise of transcending the limitations of medicine, blinded to the moral quandaries that lurked in the shadows of such experimentation. My team and I delved into the abyss of genetic manipulation, attempting to splice the essence of humanity with the resilience of animals. The project, codenamed Chimera Labyrinth, aimed to unlock the secrets of cellular regeneration encoded in the DNA of creatures with remarkable healing abilities. But in our quest to conquer mortality, we unleashed a force that defied the natural order. The first sign of impending catastrophe manifested when our test subjects, once dormant within their containment cells, began to display unnatural behaviors. Disturbing howls echoed through the sterile corridors, and the air carried an acrid scent of something inherently wrong. The Labyrinthine Splice, as we called it, was mutating beyond our control. One by one, the test subjects escaped their confines, each bearing grotesque deformities that blurred the line between human and beast. The once hopeful experiment became a descent into madness as the creatures roamed freely within the laboratory's labyrinthine corridors. As I ventured deeper into the facility, the air thickened with an oppressive malevolence. The walls seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, and the flickering lights cast grotesque shadows that danced to an unholy rhythm. I was a witness to the aberrations of my own creation, the architect of a nightmare that now threatened to consume me. The creatures, born of the Labyrinthine Splice, were no longer bound by the laws of nature. Limbs elongated into twisted appendages, and eyes glowed with an unnatural luminescence. The once human faces contorted into feral masks, and guttural growls reverberated through the labyrinth. In my pursuit of scientific immortality, I had unwittingly unleashed abominations that defied classification. They lurked in the shadows, their forms shifting between the grotesque and the human, a testament to the unholy marriage of genes that danced on the precipice of the unknown. As I navigated the labyrinth, a realization gripped me with a vice-like intensity. The creatures were not mere experiments gone awry. They were a reflection of the darkness that resided within the deepest recesses of human ambition. The Labyrinthine Splice had tapped into an abyss that transcended biology, a realm where the sins of scientific hubris manifested in monstrous forms. The once familiar laboratory had become an alien landscape, a surreal dreamscape where the laws of physics and morality had crumbled. Desperation set in as I realized that containment was futile. The creatures, driven by an insatiable hunger, hunted me through the labyrinth, their distorted howls echoing through the catacombs of failed experiments. In the heart of the facility, I confronted the grotesque culmination of my ambitions, a colossal creature, a fusion of human and animal that defied the very fabric of reality. Its eyes, once filled with the spark of human consciousness, now gleamed with a predatory intelligence that transcended the boundaries of our understanding. As the creature loomed over me, I saw the Labyrinthine Splice for what it truly was, a gateway to the abyss, a Pandora's box of horrors that we, in our arrogance, had dared to open. The abominations born of our ambition were the guardians of this unholy portal, and I, their unwitting creator, stood at the threshold of a descent into chaos. In the cold embrace of the labyrinth, I became one with the abominations, a living testament to the consequences of playing God. The laboratory, once a bastion of scientific inquiry, became a tomb of twisted experiments and shattered ethics. The Labyrinthine Splice had devoured reason and unleashed a darkness that would forever haunt the corridors of Arcane Genetics, a cautionary tale etched in the annals of forbidden knowledge.